Councilor Austin, you want to do the honors and bless the meeting?
I've done it once today.
All right, I'll do it. Dear most gracious Heavenly Father, we just come to you today. We thank you for the opportunity to address the needs of our people. And we thank you for the safety and the shield you put around our people. And be with our leadership, be with our chief, deputy chief, and our cabinet level, and all the people around the front lines, dear Lord. And we just thank you for the council members for being here today, and bless their families and give them travel, dear Lord. And we just thank you again, dear Lord, that we represent the Cherokee Nation. We may do what's good for our people. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Joe Bird,
Ani?
Kanan Duncan,
Ani.
Keith Austin,
Here.
Harley Buzzard,
Here.
Julia Coates, Tom Crittenden,
Ani.
Joe Deere,
Aye.
Mike Dobbins, Rex Jordan, Darrell Legg, Wes Melfire,
Ani.
Dora Petzkowski,
Here.
Mike Shambaugh,
Here.
Mary Bakershaw, E.O. Smith,
Here.
Denise Taylor, Victoria Vasquez.
Aye.
We have a quorum.
Yes, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the ayes have it. We'll drop down the reports. Marshal Shannon Buell. Gotta take this call real quick. Hello. Hey, I need a favor.
I need to wait, or?
No.
Oh, he said go ahead.
Thanks for coming,
Go
Shannon.
ahead.
Whatever.
Good afternoon. First, let me apologize. Usually I'm in a suit and tie. I couldn't fit it over my cast. I tried this morning, so I do apologize for the way I'm dressed. Some of the stuff that's not in my packet that you might want to be aware of is we have 3 employees at the Marshal Service called the MERC. That's the Medical Emergency Response Coordinators. They're actually sponsored by a grant from the state that they coordinate any emergency response with clinics, hospitals, adult care facilities, retirement homes, from pretty much Stillwater east to Missouri, Arkansas, and then all the way down south. So it's a huge chunk of land. It's actually even outside of our 14 counties that they do that coordination with. Since COVID-19 started, these MERCs have also been assigned by the state to handle all the PPE transports. So the state will bring PPE to us. We will get requests from the clinics, the hospitals, adult care centers, any treatment places like that. Come in every day, this list. Our MERCs will fulfill that need, and then we will ship that out via Marshal and Emergency Management to those centers. So at any given day, to include today, I can have marshals transporting PPE equipment all over eastern Oklahoma to try to get PPE to the people that need it. That's one of the things that normally we don't do as marshals, but the understaffing of the state system has made it to where we had to pull marshal resources to facilitate that need that they have. So that's one of the things you normally don't see in our monthly reports. The fact that now marshals are putting the Uber hat on and transporting medical equipment. So just many of the things we do. Other than that, if there's any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Any questions for our marshal? Yes, Councilor Shemo.
I don't know if you know, but here in a bit, there'll be an emergency management code discussed. And have you read that?
I have.
And are you okay being in charge of that, so to speak? Because it says that. Is that something you would be willing to take on?
I'll be honest, we're working, my office, the emergency management office that we have, the AG's office and administration are working together to help the council write a good piece of legislation. I hope to have it for you all maybe July. That's my hope.
Oh, so you've been in discussions?
Yes, we've been in discussions with the administration and the Attorney General's office about this. I can tell you that I took over emergency management about 10 years ago. Before that, it was under risk management with Tamara Copeland. And I know she's probably not here, but I can tell you, Tamara did an excellent job when she was doing the position of emergency management, but she's also having to do risk management as well. She didn't have the resources or, quite frankly, the manpower to facilitate some of the stuff that we do now on a very large arena. So when I took it over about 10 years ago, we incorporated emergency management into the Marshall paradigm. So now marshals also do SAR, which is search and rescue. That's how I injured my hand, training for that. So now my marshals do SAR. We do emergency management. Instead of having, let's say, 1 or 2 people at the tribe that handle emergency management, now you have an entire department that can be pulled and the resources to man that emergency management. That's why we've been asked to go to Houston for the floods, Florida for the hurricane, North Carolina for the hurricane, Joplin, Missouri, Katrina. We've built this program from maybe a 3-person shop into a national critical infrastructure that we're called by FEMA to go out and do. Currently, we receive close to $1 million a year in FEMA money and Department of Homeland Security money for this program. My EM staff are some of the most highly trained EM staffs on the planet. They do a good job. We've been asked to go to different issues with civil unrest. We take that very cautiously when we say yes to it. Mainly, I hope that the council understands my philosophy at the Marshal Service and civil disobedience as far as peaceful assembly to address grievances. We agree with it. We will support the peaceful assembly to anybody to come and address a grievance. Even if it is against us, we will still have marshals on the ground to help support them and protect them to do that. That's always been my standard. Quite frankly, it's been the standard of the Marshal Service since I've been here and before I was the director, and it will continue to be. So we're always very pro, I don't want to say pro-demonstrative, but pro-peaceful assembly, a person that will go out and peacefully address grievances that they have with their community and their culture. With that, EM kind of fits that mold. If people remember Bill John Baker's first election, we actually had protesters for that election, and we set up tents, we put ice and water troughs, and we were there with them. I had marshals run a valet service for the elders that wanted to come out and protest that couldn't walk all the way to the site. That I actually drove my unit, picked them up where they could park, and drove and made sure they was all right. It was hot that day. So we're very pro our community members being able to voice their opinions. However, I'm not pro rioting or destruction of property or violence. I cannot atone to any of that. So that EM piece, 10 years ago, I was kind of hesitant when they asked me to take it over because I just, quite frankly, didn't understand it. I was a cop. EM was this person that was in a vehicle that had a clipboard, in my opinion. Now that I've had it 10 years, I can see how integral it is for the needs of our community, the needs of the tribe. They're instrumental, if you remember the tornado that kind of ravaged Adair County, some of the flooding last year, our EM was pretty much controlling all the emergency response on this side of the river for that entire flood. So they do a wonderful job. They're in our budget packet every year that you all get to evaluate on the budget of the EM. But I have good young men and women that is their life. They love helping their communities, and EM is where they reside. So to answer your question, I've had it for 10 years. I can say that sometimes it's not a joy because there's a lot that goes into it, but it's very fulfilling to be able to sometimes take that badge off that people think, oh, you're just here to arrest my mom and dad, and put that SAR hat on to go in there and help the community, not being a gun carrier, but being a person that's there to help that community in another way. So.
Well, I think that's why I asked,
Okay.
because I know how law enforcement would view doing that in the past. But since you've done that, I would be very interested in seeing and the experience that you have. And you guys have shown that you are very good at what you do during the emergency. So, about how long do you say you'll have something, or somebody will have something wrote up maybe?
We're hoping July rules, we'll
Okay.
have it to you.
That'd be great. I look forward to seeing that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anybody? Yes, Counselor Deere?
Marshall Buell, the way I understand that going off of here, I read what was in here with the code, and you like the idea of the code, but you're gonna have, working with people to get it rewritten, so logistically and all the different things, so we'll have something to definitely review compared to now, that's way better or different, or,
Councilman Deere, I don't know if it can be way better. One, I'm not an attorney, so
I guess
you know,
way
I'm
better
a-
was the wrong word, maybe more information.
Expand.
Yes,
Yeah,
expand
exactly.
it. I always want to balance what we need in code to the liberties of our people and the power that this body might give me, whether knowingly or unknowingly. That's always a concern for my office. I should never want more power than I need to do my job. So one of the things I'm looking at, and we're looking at, is make sure that this body, we help you do what you want to do. And I think it's good that Speaker Byrd has recognized this. You know, he's always been very pro-law enforcement. As long as I've been around him, he has done nothing but support me and my agency. He asks questions outside of this office of us. Is there anything we need? What support can we give you? He's always supported my security department, which also falls under my office. So I think that this is just that continuation of the speaker's support for what we do in times of crisis. And so I do support that. I just want to make sure that what we present you is the best thing I can do for the tribe and also for my employees, for the EM staff, and for the community as a whole. So,
Yeah, that's just, I want to clarify, it's a great thing, I just wanted to make sure I was on the same page for me, to clarify, that's what's, as far as rewriting and doing all that, so, appreciate you.
Thank you.
I think you'll get a demonstration on what all, and it will really be somewhat surprising on what they do above and beyond what he reports here. There'll be a demonstration that he'll show us in July, hopefully by then. And we'll go outside and see all of his equipment and look at his staff and what they do. It'll be amazing.
That'd be cool,
Yeah.
thank you.
Anybody else?
One other thing.
Yes, go ahead.
And, you know, your marshals have been out and about, they've been going in different communities, working with the different communities. I know that they went out last night and they recovered a stolen tractor and a baler well over $100-something. So that was, and they also recovered a stolen truck out of Adair County last night near the same place. So you guys have been busy, and
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you and what your marshals are doing.
Thank you very much.
You know, our marshals are respected not only statewide, but, you know, nationwide, and because of the training that we have. And we appreciate that. You're above and beyond. I trust you guys way further than most other agencies.
Well, I wish I could take credit for that, Speaker, but I have good people that care about first of all, they care about their people and their culture and their community. And they also want to be good cops and protect the community as well, but they care about Cherokees. They care about Eastern Oklahoma. They care about people being able to be safe in their homes and their places of work and where they live. And so it's a testament to them. How's that? So.
Years ago, back in the late 90s, we had a rescue. We needed, one of our council members' spouse fell in the river there in Sequoyah County. And so the marshals went down and did a rescue and coordinated with the Red Cross and OSBI and several law agencies there. And it took 2 or 3 weeks and had to fish the spouse out of that water there in Sequoyah County. But marshals put it all together, and it's in December. It's the coldest part of the winter months there. But within 3 or 4 weeks, we accomplished what we needed to do. And it was an all-out effort all along, but it took our Cherokee Nation marshals to coordinate it. We've come a long ways.
And we continue to change and continue to grow. One thing with law enforcement, emergency management, security, we have to look at trends. We have to look at new laws, new regulations, new tactics, new equipment, new things to go about to, make the community as safe as we can. We'll always continue to strive forward with that. And I would sure like to commend the administration of the tribe as well. They've given us the support over the years that allowed us to do our job safely as you can do your job. and the same with the council. It's a relief when I hear other agencies from other areas talk about their leadership, and the way that I can speak to mine is incredible. So thank you.
Thank you for that report. We have no further questions. Thank you very much, Marshall. Okay, now we have the Office of Attorney General, Sarah. We talked, you have the written report. Unless you have some specific questions, then, there she is. I mean, I don't know if you read your report. Is that correct, Sarah? If they want to ask questions, they can, but,
Here at the pleasure of the council.
okay. Is there a brief narrative you want to give us?
I certainly can, except
Okay.
I want to be respectful of your time and your wishes on this matter. I can talk as little or as much as you would prefer.
We always will make time for our Attorney General.
That's kind, thank you. There's always a lot going on in my office, and certainly got a lot of litigation that's going on at the moment. And so I can just give you a brief update on the major litigation that we have, if that would be acceptable.
Okay?
So we've, on the gaming case, which is, probably one of the most important cases that we have at the moment, we filed motions for summary judgment in that case, which is basically just asking the court to rule on the law. We don't think that the parties disagree about the facts, but only about what the law should be. So we've filed those briefs, and we're just basically awaiting the decision of the court now on the main issue in that case. And we don't have any idea when Judge DeGiusti might rule on that, but at least the writing, from the lawyer's point of view, the pencils are down. We've submitted the case that we have to the court, so we're anxious to hear what the judge has to say about that. There's a second case that was filed by Speaker McCall and the Senate Pro Tem, Mr. Treat. They filed a case, a state law case in the Oklahoma Supreme Court based on the compacts that were signed between the Comanche Nation and Otoe Missouri Tribe and the state of Oklahoma, saying that the governor did not have authority to enter into those compacts. And so that case is, the Supreme Court will take it up for sort of an initial hearing to determine whether or not they want to hear the case on July 1st. So that case is also pending, which is related to the gaming issues that we have had set forth in front of the federal judge. In the UKB case, we've had two cases pending for a long time with the UKB over their land into trust on the 76-acre tract their complex is on. We filed a cert petition with the Supreme Court that was denied. I think it was this week. And so that case is complete and done. So that land is in trust for the United Kituwa Band there, that 76-acre tract. There's a 2-acre tract of land, which is the gaming tract, where they previously operated a gaming facility. The Cherokee Nation won that case at the district court level with the Northern District in Tulsa. The UKB have appealed that case to the 10th Circuit, so we're headed back up to the 10th Circuit on that case. There's another UKB lawsuit that was filed against Cherokee Nation over a child welfare case that we have, and it's in the Northern District, and we filed a motion to dismiss in that case. Our CARES Act litigation, I think that Treasury has now distributed all of the money, thanks to some pressure from some of our excellent attorneys that we had representing us in Washington, D.C. on that case, along with several other tribes. All of that money's been released. The only remaining money under the CARES Act is money that was set aside for the ANCs, the Alaskan Native Corporations. That part of the case is continuing in a separate case, so there's a little bit of money that's held up there, but the rest of it has all finally been distributed, although it took a court order and weeks of, after the fact, Congress set them a deadline. There were weeks past that deadline before it came out, but we finally got them to release all of it. There's the insurance litigation based on our claims due to the COVID-19 shutdown of the casinos and some of the other impacts. We had insurance to cover those losses, and they refused to cover them. That's insurance litigation. It's going to be a while before all of that will be wrapped up, and especially considering that a lot of courts have moved out their deadlines. Due to that, it's going to take a little bit longer. So that case is still pending, and there hasn't really been a lot of action in that case yet because of some of the deadlines that have been extended by the courts over the COVID-19 pandemic. In the McGirt case, which is related to the Murphy case, which is the reservation case in the Creek Nation, that decision is imminent. It could have happened this morning. I was on the computer refreshing the Supreme Court site this morning, so I expect that case will be decided in the next few weeks. I don't know when exactly. There's still, I think, 13 cases pending now that are still to be released, and ours is one of those, or the Creek Nation is one of those 13 cases. So that's a very big case, and we should get some kind of resolution from the United States Supreme Court in that case fairly shortly. And that's the major sort of litigation going on Cherokee Nation front, just to give you sort of a quick update.
Any questions for our Attorney General? Counselor No
On the insurance litigation case, I know it's going to be some time, but if there's a settlement and CMB is able to recoup their pay and roll-ins, are we able to recoup the money that we gave them?
So a lot of the things, the money that was transferred to that'd be a good probably question for the treasurer. I don't know under what circumstances that money can be recouped. I think she would probably be able to answer that question better than I could. I will say that so in the litigation, we're asking for not just losses related to like the lost business, but also things like lost profits, which the CARES Act funding could never cover. It just doesn't cover that. So there are a lot of losses in the litigation that are not covered by any kind of CARES Act funding. But under what circumstances Cherokee Nation could recoup that money from CMB, I think that's a question the treasurer could answer better than I could.
Okay.
Okay, all right, appreciate it.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, good report.
Thank you.
Okay, you have a written report from our Gwen Terrapin in your packet.
Yeah, she submitted a written report, I know.
Okay. Do we have any questions there? You still have Tara Lee in the audience if you need to do that. Tax Commission, who's going to cover that? Tara Lee?
I can take any questions.
Is there any questions? Yes, Counselor Taylor?
I had one, and it was the Catoosa Tag Office was set to, I think, break ground this summer. I just wondered if that was still the plan.
That may be something that
They were still on track.
This just in. We actually got 195% construction documents. There's a few tweaks they want to make on those plans yesterday from the architect. And so we're working through the last bit of details on getting ready to break ground on that. So,
Okay, so you think the timeline on that's probably gonna stay
July.
pretty close to
Yeah.
the same? Okay, awesome. That's all I have,
Good.
Speaker.
Catoosa Tag Office.
Yes, Counselor Shambo.
I don't have a question, I have a comment. I'm sure you all have received a ton of calls about our tag agencies, and the time frames that it's taken to get tags. And I'll just tell you, they have been swamped. I mean, I know at Jay and Adair and places, and all of them, Catoosa's places that have 5 terminals cannot keep up, or they couldn't. I don't know how it is now, but there was a lot of upset people. But when I was at Jay, I can tell you, I went in and talked to them, and the lady came out and talked to 10 or 15 people who had been there for hours but weren't going to be able to be seen because when 4:15 rolls around, they have to complete paperwork, they have to, deposit their money, they have to do a lot of things to finish up the day. And she actually came out and explained to the people what was going on and why, and they were good. But I thought that was a good testament. And Sharon, I've called her 2 or 3 times on different things, and man, they have had to address a ton of people. 450 people get online to get something renewed in one morning. 450 people just bang. So they have done a good job getting the tag system back online. It's just been very difficult, and I want to commend them for what they've done. I hope it's slowed down a little bit for them.
Thank you. We'll definitely pass that along.
Go ahead.
Speaker, if I might, just to add to that a little bit, so give you guys a little bit of an update. So this month compared to this month last year, we've done $1 million more worth of registrations than we did last year at this same period of time. We are working, we've taken water out to make sure that anybody that's been waiting, Sharon's procured ice chests, and so we're making accommodations for anybody that has to wait. We do think this is going to be a short-term issue. It does look like they're getting caught up. They're up to about June 18th, so we're about 1 week behind at this point, as opposed to being weeks and weeks behind. So they are catching up, and they have been hiking up Mount Everest backwards with no shoes for the last couple of weeks. And so they've done a tremendous job, and they've been pretty flexible to look at different ways of doing things, different ways of processing things, and shifting their work around. And so they are to be commended, but it does look like they're starting to see the glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel.
Thank
That's
you.
good. Anybody else? Yes, Counselor Deere?
Hey, Todd, who's the architect and who's doing the contract?
Children's Architect is one that's done the civil and design work and everything on that so far. And we're looking at a couple of options before we pull the trigger on all of this, but we should have an announcement in July for a groundbreaking.
So that's a procurement bid contract?
Yes.
Next thing is with the construction going on there just in front of that Quick Trip, they just put in the new signal lights and expanded that road, which might do something with the intersection. Can you let me know if Childers made that adjustment based
Yeah.
on that travel
I sure will.
and the signal lighting? Because TOS is doing it, and that's gonna have a funnel to that area in that section where the Welcome Center is when we move them to the other side.
Yeah.
So just make them aware of that, because I don't know if they have the update, if they turn in their final
I
plans.
know they've been working pretty closely with the city as well as Tulsa and Catoosa. But I'll double check to make sure that they got that accommodation out there.
Yeah, because if not, it's gonna be a nightmare.
Okay.
So, all right, thank you.
Yeah, and one of the added costs that we had for that is with arrangement with the city of Tulsa, if you do any development along that corridor, you have to upgrade the infrastructure that crosses your property, so that's added about $200,000 to our plan.
And do we own that property now?
Yes,
So are we leasing it to that fireworks people?
we are.
Okay.
We went ahead and made the decision to go ahead and lease that out to them since it looked like we were going to be after 4th of July for fireworks.
All right, thank you.
Good. Counselor Crittenden?
I'm good. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, Counselor Smith?
You know, we all been getting complaints and everything. I was just wondering, you say it was $1 million more. If we're making that, how come? Could we look into maybe at each place, maybe put 2 more people in there to speed it up and keep it that way? And then, well, we'd never have no complaints that way.
Two things. One, I forgot to address something. So we're working with Donnie and Kelly. So when I said we're looking at every creative option, we've looked at TVs. We've implemented a text messaging system to let you know what your appointment is. We've put the updates online so you can check it on your phone and know that I've got 20 minutes or 2 hours or 15
Meeting
minutes.
list, tags, we're still on that.
So the other thing we've done is we worked with Don and Kelly, day training. They're going out and visiting elders in cars, making sure if they need water, getting updates. So that's some of the things we've done. The other thing to consider is we did talk to Sharon about either reallocating or adding staff to her team. The problem is you have to understand the ins and outs of the tax law and how it applies. If I'm a veteran or this is a boat, this is all the things I have to have, if the documentation's correct. So it literally takes them probably 6 weeks to get somebody really trained and to the point where they can operate on their own. And then always keep in mind, anything that we add to operations takes out of the revenues that goes towards the public school system. So it's a balancing act of efficiency as well as making sure that we're sending as much money as we possibly can to the school systems to make sure that the public schools get those dollars. So we are looking at some options to increase capacity and technology that helps to get things done a little bit quicker. So.
And you know, our tribal members need to understand, just because you get that tribal registration card doesn't mean all your problems are over.
What?
It's difficult being Cherokee sometimes. But there's a lot of blessings and rewards that come with that, being a tribal citizen of the Cherokee Nation. So just enjoy it. And, you know, sometimes you have to wait an hour or two, take a book and read. And, you know, I tell people going to Hastings Hospital, they'll go, I've been here an hour and a half. I said, yeah, I've been here an hour and a half too. This book's pretty good. Now try to go next door and you pay it out of your back pocket and see what kind of results you get. And then you can calm down just a little bit. But there's rewards and there's waiting times when you're a Cherokee Nation tribal citizen. Okay?
I will say anecdotally, I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and the concern was that somebody waited 30 minutes for their tag, and I was like, you trying to do that? state tag office, you're gonna be waiting that or more.
Wait on that on a hamburger, so, yeah. All right, anybody else? Yeah, Counselor Dodd.
Chief of Staff, I've just got to mention, since you guys are mentioning staff at other offices, don't forget about Adair County. We don't
Yeah,
have,
we're cutting all the staff out of every office in Adair County.
we sure would like to have one person over there running tags. You know, I might help out the Tahlequah and Sallisaw offices too.
Just know that we're looking.
There you go. Give them a mask.
Good one, good one.
Anybody else? Good report.
Speaker Bird?
Yes,
Yeah, I had a question. I'm sorry I had to step away from this a moment, but I gather from the conversation that we're talking about tribal tags and so forth, and if that's the case, I had a question.
okay.
Is it appropriate at this
Yes,
time?
go right ahead.
Okay. Thank you. I had a question from a constituent in Oklahoma City, and actually this was a couple of months ago, and this was the first opportunity I've had to ask. He was trying to refinance his car, and his bank would not do it because it had a tribal tag on it. Is that commonplace? Can whoever's there, I think I hear Todd, but Mr. Lowe, but can you share a little bit with me about what that's all about? Is that a common thing?
It has happened before. Todd, you want to explain when you have a tribal tag and you're going to refinance your vehicle? Sometimes you do run into problems there when they see that tribal tag. Would you explain what the solution is?
Oh, really? That's interesting, because I actually worked at the bank, and we made that accommodation quite often. And it was just a normal process and normal routine. A lot of the banks are going to be concerned about the ability to correctly apply lien release. Counselor Coates, if you can send me, if you've got specifics on that, so we can take a look at it. All the banks around here typically know about Cherokee Nation, but then there are some other banks that don't understand and don't know, and we may need to try to educate some of those. From the banking industry, it's a fear of making sure that lien's applied properly so that individual doesn't have the ability to sell the car out from underneath them without being compensated for the sale of the vehicle. So I know when we very first started doing tax and we were getting everything set up, that was a lot of the concern. But with our government and the laws that this council's put in place to protect both the borrower as well as the bank, that eased a lot of concerns that the banks had. So we may have a few here and there. But Counselor, if you can send those to me and or directly to Sharon Swepston, and we'll take a look at it and see what the issue is.
And Counselor Coates,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Counselor Coates, if you will CC me on that as well, just so we can kind of help keep track. This is Tara Lee.
Who's speaking, please? Who? Okay, Tara Lee?
Yes, thank
I
you.
will.
Is that okay, Counselor Coates?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, good report. A gaming commission?
I'll take any questions.
I think our Attorney General answered some of those. Okay, anybody else? Human resources. Everybody's people getting hired on time?
I will provide an update real quick if I can. We did adjust a lot of our hiring practices to make sure that we focus on top tier. When we were asked our employees to go work from home, we did have some essential staff like healthcare and food distribution and others that we wanted to make sure that we got to place quickly. So HR adjusted the processes to make sure we are hiring everybody as normal. What we did through that process is to limit the number of people going through orientation. So we've staggered and created a Monday morning, Monday afternoon, Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon orientation cycle. So, and we've even gone into Wednesday but they are keeping up with that. And then, if you guys will recall, we kicked off a project last fall regarding the processes related to HR and as far as recruitment and onboarding and retention. And so we kept working on that through all of this, and they are supposed to create the report and have it to us to review later on in mid-July. So that report's coming to fruition. As soon as we get that wrapped up, we'll share that with the council, and then what our next steps will be to make any process improvements in the HR processes that we can. So
Okay.
HR has been busy, not only been hiring folks and keeping everybody paid and benefits rolling out, but we've also been working on the back end to make those improvements that we committed to.
Okay, thank you for that. Anybody else? Okay, Counselor.
Hey, Todd, did they change the computer software where people were applying and, not getting answers back?
No, not yet. That's part of the recommendations that they're looking at. Right now, they use 5 different systems to track either employees, applicants, benefits, all kinds of stuff. So right now, they use a software tool called iSIMS in iRecruiter. It has a module, a complete suite of modules, but we only really use one module of that. So that's what they were looking at, the recommendation. Do we just go straight over to the tool offered by Infor? Do we look at another third party? Do we just acquire the full suite of iSIMS so that it creates an automated response system so we can let the citizens know, or the applicants know when they apply?
Appreciate it.
Good?
Yep.
Okay. All right, that's good. Moving down to old business, you heard the report from our Marshall Buell here. This time I'd entertain a motion to table.
So made.
Motion, need a second?
Second.
Got a second, table till next month. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it. Counselor Nofire, you want to take the next one?
Yeah, this is a resolution confirming the appointment of Mary Elizabeth Blue as the 5th member of the Cherokee Nation Election Commission. Put that in form of a motion.
Second.
Okay, do we have her here? Okay. Before we vote, we want to come to the front here. I've known her family for quite a while. Her dad is city council and comes from a very, very good family. So you have any questions, then feel free to ask. And
Could I say something first, please?
yes, ma'am.
First of all, I'd like to thank you all for taking my calls yesterday and returning them. That was very kind of you. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody have any questions before we vote? Yes, Counselor Shaw.
Hi, Elizabeth, how are you doing today?
Good, thanks, and yourself?
Very well, thank you. I have a question. Have you voted in our elections?
Yes, ma'am, I have. I voted in the 2019 primary and general, and I thought that I could vote in the 2015 election, and I thought I was registered, and I called the election commission, and I was told I was registered, and I went to vote, and they told me I couldn't vote. So I believe that I registered to vote shortly after that. So basically, that's something else I would like to, things fall through the cracks sometimes, and I would like to make sure that doesn't happen to others.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Counselor Buzzer?
Yes, thank you for coming. I thank you for the phone call yesterday, too.
Thank you for
Pleased to
taking
meet
that.
you today, but I guess my question is, Ms. Blue, is how familiar, have you read the election code?
I have the bylaws here with me. I know that they're very quick. I can access them very quickly. I know some of them. I know that I'm not supposed to be biased. I know that I'm supposed to be fair and to abide by the laws that you guys set forward. That my job is not to make the law, but to just guarantee that it is enforced. And that's my understanding.
I think part of the job of election commissioner also to make recommendations to that and bring it to the council. So would you be willing to look at that and make recommendations?
Yes, I would. Obviously, I mean, so I've had one interview with the Election Commission, and I haven't met with them more than that one time. I don't know anybody on the Election Commission. Therefore, I'm not informed maybe about exactly how my job is going to move forward. So my assumption is that I will know more here in the next few weeks, I hope. Does that make sense to you?
Okay. Anybody else? Counselor No Far.
Just a couple questions. Why did you want to be on our election commission?
Oh, that's a good question. Thank you for that. First of all, from a personal basis, as I think you've all read, I had some health issues, so I want to give back to my community and my tribe. That's how I've been raised. You give to your family, to your community, that includes my tribe. I want to give back what they've given to me, and that was my life. They also gave my son an education. So I find it's just very important. I've been involved in a few campaigns in my life. So this is a really good fit for me as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, great. Well, I mean, that's, I know I've read a little bit about that, and I'm just, it's blessed that you're here, and I think that's awesome that you've overcome that. And so I know that you read you're supposed to be, not biased on the laws, and so who gives you the ability to enforce the law? I guess, as far as on your guidelines of the Election Commission.
I mean, I thought that the Election Commission does. That was my understanding, that I am given, that you guys make the laws and I am supposed to enforce them to the best of my ability.
Awesome, appreciate it, Speaker.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, if there's not any, yes. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Right. I wanted to share the content of a conversation I had with Ms. Ballou yesterday, and I think it's an important conversation. I think it indicated something important. When Ms. Ballou called, my question to her was about something which is near and dear to my heart and to that of my constituents. And the question was whether or not she would support the removal of the notary requirement. Ms. Ballou affirmed that it was her job to enact the law and not to make it. I responded to her that I thought that was a bit of a dodge, and that just yesterday morning, in fact, Mr. Brown and I had received a letter from the Election Commission in which they were offering an unsolicited opinion on that very question. And so knowing that, I repeated the question to her. Would she support the removal of the notary requirement? And her response was exactly the same. It was not her role to make the law, but only to uphold it. And with that, I responded to her that she had told me a lot about herself, and then I got off the phone very quickly and abruptly after thanking her for reasons I'll share in just a moment. I wanted to state at this time that her responses were exactly the right responses. They were exactly right. And so I will definitely be supporting this nomination because I hope that the sense of integrity of doing the right thing, even when she is challenged by a counselor, even when she is informed the rest of the Election Commission has done exactly what I asked her if she, would take a stand on. It's exactly right. And so I thank her for that. I look forward to more of the same. I hope we have a very, very exemplary new member of the Election Commission here. I will also apologize for getting off the phone as abruptly as I did, because in the larger sense, I'm uncomfortable with these kinds of phone calls coming to elected officials from a nominee to the Election Commission. We confirm the nominations of lots of people, and I don't have a problem with it. But when it comes to this particular commission, we have a vested interest and we should not be confirming or appointing, nominating these people. No elected official should be, in my opinion. So that's my statement, not a question, but I was very, very pleased, in fact, with the responses that I received. And I'm sure you thought yesterday that it probably wasn't, but.
Thank you
but
for
thank
confirming that, Counselor. Thank you, Coates. Thanks for being kind.
Point well taken, Counselor Coates. Anybody else? Okay, you have a motion, you have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the ayes have it. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm really excited about this.
Okay. I think that concludes our agenda, doesn't it? Well, now I need someone to make a motion, Agiosi. Motion second. Right.
Thank you very much.